As the golden sun dipped low behind the thorn trees of the Serengeti, a lone propeller plane cut through the dry African air, its echo drifting across the vast emptiness below. For 4 travelers, Elena from Spain, Marcus from the UK, Rachel from Canada, and Tom from Australia, this dusty landing strip marked the beginning of an adventure they had long dreamed of. They had come in search of wild beauty, untouched lands, and stories their friends back home would never believe. But what Africa would offer them was far more real, far more raw, and far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. As their boots hit the sun-baked earth, the dry air wrapped around them like a whisper. A tall, lean man in a woven hat approached with a calm smile. "I am Nuru," he said. "Welcome to the cradle of life." His voice carried both warmth and weight, as if he had seen many stories unfold in this land. They didn't know it yet, but Nuru would be more than just a guide, he would become their lifeline between survival and silence. Behind him, the savannah stretched endlessly, humming with unseen life. With cameras, canteens, and curiosity, the group packed their gear into the dusty green Jeep that seemed older than time itself. Its tires rested in the tracks of unseen creatures, hoofprints, claw marks, and a long drag that looked disturbingly fresh. "Don't worry," Nuru said as he noticed Marcus staring at the ground. "Here, every step has a story. You just have to listen." But not all stories want to be told. Some hide in tall grass. Some wait for nightfall. They rolled through the heart of the wilderness, the Jeep bouncing over ancient roots and dry earth. Giraffes moved like slow shadows beneath the acacia trees, and zebras blinked lazily under the sun. Everything was picture perfect, just like the documentaries. But unlike documentaries, they weren't protected by glass screens or distant narrators. They were here, in the land where lions hunt, where night comes fast, and where even silence has teeth. Under a violet sky, they built their first camp. Laughter echoed as they roasted plantains and shared stories from their homes. The fire cracked and danced, casting wild shadows on their faces. "Africa is magic," Elena whispered, sipping from her tin cup. Nuri sat silently a few feet away, staring into the dark. "Magic, yes," he said finally. "But magic here always has a price." A hyena's laugh echoed far off, sharp and chilling. Beyond the flickering light of the fire, eyes watched. Amber, silent, waiting. A lioness, lean and hungry, studied the camp like a ghost of ancient instinct. The travelers laughed unaware, their backs turned to the dark. But Nuru knew. He felt the shift in the wind, the weight in the silence. He whispered a single word in Swahili, "Simba." The fire popped. The grass moved. Africa had opened its eyes. A deep growl rolled through the night like thunder. Rachel froze mid-laugh. Tom stood, heart hammering. "What was that?" he asked, though he already knew. Nuru moved fast, grabbing a burning log from the fire and waving it toward the trees. "Get in the Jeep. Now," he ordered. From the grass, 2 yellow eyes blinked again. Then another. Then 3 more. The pride was here. In the blur of panic, they dropped mugs, kicked dust, and stumbled into the safety of the Jeep. Nuru stood between them and the lions, arm outstretched, the fire a trembling shield. "Don't break eye contact," he hissed through clenched teeth. The lions crept closer, slow and deliberate. One roared, loud enough to shake bone. Africa was reminding them, "Here, you are not tourists. You are prey." Tires screamed against the dirt as the Jeep shot forward. Nuru drove with the fury of a man chased by ghosts. The headlights cut through dust and grass, catching flashes of golden fur moving alongside. "They're chasing us!" Rachel screamed. "Why are they chasing us?" Elena held her breath, eyes wide. Nuru didn't answer. He couldn't. The roar behind them said enough. The lions were hunting. And they were winning. The Jeep bucked like a wounded animal and slammed into a dry ravine. Steam hissed from the hood. Silence. Then, a soft growl. Tom tried to restart the engine, sweat dripping into his eyes. Nothing. Out. Run. Now, Nuru shouted. No one argued. They grabbed only what they could carry. Behind them, a lioness appeared on the ridge, her mane glowing in the moonlight. She did not roar. She only stared. The night swallowed them whole as they ran, through grass tall enough to hide anything, even death. The full moon watched silently above, casting ghost light on their path. Every snapped twig sounded like a growl. Every breath felt like a betrayal of silence. Behind them, the roars came closer, growing louder, hungrier. Marcus tripped, scraped his knees, but Elena pulled him up with shaking hands. "No one stops," she whispered. "Not here." They collapsed beneath the ancient roots of a giant baobab tree, its trunk wide enough to hide them, its bark scarred by time. Nuru held a finger to his lips. "Don't breathe loud. Don't move." The lions prowled just meters away, their paws silent, their noses searching. The world shrank to the sound of shallow breaths and pounding hearts. Rachel clenched a rosary in her palm. Tom bit his lip until it bled. The earth itself seemed to listen. When dawn arrived, it did not bring warmth. Only gray light and silence. The lions were gone, vanished into the grass like whispers. The group emerged from hiding, dirt-covered, trembling, changed. The night had taken something from each of them, naivete, comfort, maybe even pieces of their souls. Nuru looked to the horizon. "We head east. There's a ranger outpost by the cliffs," he said. No one spoke. They just followed. The dry riverbed was cracked like old skin. They walked in silence, single file, their shadows long behind them. What once were tourists were now survivors. Elena's boots had split. Marcus carried Rachel's pack when her shoulder gave out. Flies circled their heads. But they moved forward, because fear doesn't freeze in Africa. It walks. It breathes. And sometimes, it wears a lion's face. The bones of the wilderness told stories, too, stories of survival, of endings, of creatures who didn't run fast enough. A wildebeest carcass, sun-bleached and split open, lay half-buried in the sand. Vultures circled lazily above, as if rehearsing their lines. Tom stared at the ribs. "That could have been us," he muttered. Nuru didn't reply. He just kept walking. Because in Africa, looking back costs more than it gives. They found a lonely acacia, its branches like crooked fingers reaching for the sky. Under its shade, they collapsed. Sweat clung to their skin, and silence draped over them like a second sun. Elena handed the last canteen to Marcus. He sipped and passed it. No words. Just survival. "We'll find help," Nuru said softly, more to the wind than to them. But even the wind seemed unsure. From the ridge, they spotted it, a lone lion, limping, ribs sharp against its skin. Its head hung low, but its eyes still burned. The group froze, watching the animal limp across the horizon like a dying king. Was it a threat? Or simply another survivor in this ruthless land? No one moved. The silence was heavier than any roar. At the edge of a rocky hill, Rachel gasped. "Footprints," she cried. And there they were, fresh, human, barefoot. Someone had passed through recently. Hope bloomed like a stubborn flower in sand. "Could be the rangers," Nuru said. "Or poachers," he didn't add. But hope made their feet lighter. For the first time in hours, they walked a little faster. They reached a tiny camp tucked behind the rocks. The fire was still warm. Ashes danced in the breeze. But the tent was empty, torn, and the radio broken beyond repair. "Whoever was here left in a hurry," Tom said. Nuru crouched, touching the dirt. They weren't alone. The footprints said that much. So did the claw marks near the canvas. Another sun began to fall, and the shadow of night crept closer. No one wanted to speak it, but they all felt it, fear, swelling again. They couldn't survive another night like the last. Every distant rustle, every bird call, made their shoulders tighten. "Keep moving," Nuru urged. "We must reach the cliff before night." But Africa does not promise mercy. Only stories. The climb to the ridge was brutal, loose rocks, thorny shrubs, and trembling limbs. Rachel slipped twice. Marcus's hands bled from sharp stone. But they helped one another, without complaint. The wilderness had burned away their differences. Now, they were one, human, fragile, determined. Above them, the sky blazed red, as if warning them that night was near, and it was hungry. When they reached the top, breathless and raw, the world opened before them. Far in the distance, nestled in the arms of the earth, was Salvation, a ranger station, its chimney sending a lazy curl of smoke into the air. "We made it," Elena whispered, tears welling in her dust-covered face. Nuri smiled faintly. "Not yet," he said. "We still have to get there." They descended with aching legs, the fading light wrapping around them like a curtain. The lions were behind them, maybe. The rangers were ahead, hopefully. But the wilderness was not done yet. A snapped ankle, a wrong step, a sudden noise in the dark, any of it could still take them. But their silence was no longer fear. It was resolve. As their feet touched the path to the station, a whistle rang out. Then voices. Armed rangers burst from the doorway, eyes wide, shouting in Swahili. Relief flooded the travelers like rain in a drought. They had made it. Bruised, bitten, burned, but alive. One ranger grabbed a radio. Another handed them water. And finally, they could breathe again. That night, around a safer fire, they sat in silence. No laughter. No need. The stars above them were endless, watching, blinking, ancient. The lions were still out there. The wilderness had not changed. But they had. They were no longer just travelers. They were a part of the story now. Africa had tested them. And they had survived.